Hello there guys, what is going on? SonOfChelsea back here again for my rational perspective on Everton 1, Chelsea 0. Chelsea's unbeaten record coming to an end tonight. Really deflating game, deflating performance. It's a shame based on the momentum, the confidence, the chemistry this team has built. I did say before the game that Goodison Park is a really tricky ground for Chelsea to go to, and maybe Everton themselves looked at the stats going into tonight's game because they definitely fed off that, definitely fed off the crowd. Chelsea mentally seemed to have a block when they arrived at Goodison Park, and it was a really tough game for Chelsea, and Chelsea really just never got going tonight. I felt our passing was the poorest it's been in quite a while, and you could see that from the early stages with the likes of Kai Havertz, potentially putting Reece James through, and that happened several times in the game, to be honest. Not only from Kai Havertz, I don't just want to single out him. I felt he was a poor performer on the night, but other players too. Just nothing was really clicking tonight. I felt we lacked width within the game. I felt some of that maybe came from losing Hakim Ziyech, who's been such a key player for us in terms of our system in recent weeks. But, even with losing those players and, Christian Pulisic, of course, not featuring tonight, that was a surprise. And I felt we lacked his pace and sort of urgency. I felt that, there were certain players who were just isolated from the game, to be honest. And I can understand Frank Lampard not wanting to risk Christian Pulisic, him getting injured again. We've got a game on Tuesday away to Wolves, and then we go into, the very hectic Christmas period, West Ham, Arsenal, Aston Villa, and I think it's the FA Cup or Man City game after that. So it's going to be a difficult period, right? And we know that Chelsea and a lot of managers have to rotate and manage their squads well. We don't want to have all our wide players ruled out, right? But I think we lacked him tonight, personally. And yeah, we just never got Giroud into the game at all, never got Timo Werner into the game. I think it was one of those games that, Timo just was never able to get himself into, to be honest. Everton defending very deep, and that space in behind really wasn't there. I think you've got to give credit to Everton, the way they defended tonight. They played a pretty basic game in terms of trying to sit deep, nullify Chelsea, really crowd out that midfield, force us wide. But the difficulty tonight was Chelsea in terms of our wide play, which has been good so far this season when teams have tried to sort of cram the central areas. Unfortunately, wasn't there. Whether it was from midfield getting the ball out to them and being too slow. Reece James tonight, in terms of the supply line to Reece James to get crosses into the box, I felt it was really poor from several players. I felt in the first half we were giving the ball away so cheaply. You've got to come to the one vital moment in the game, really, based on the scoreline. It could have been more, but I think obviously Edouard Mendy making his first major mistake as a Chelsea player. I don't know what happened there. As the ball's coming over, you feel a sense of calmness because you're like Dominic Calvert-Lewin, he wins the first header, but there's two defenders there. Edouard Mendy's coming out. But then it seemed that there was a bit of hesitation from Mendy. We saw a little bit of this last weekend against Leeds in the first goal, that bit of, mistake and sort of that lack of control as we've seen so far this season. And it cost Chelsea. It cost Chelsea the game, basically, in truth, because other than that, Everton didn't create a lot, even on the break. And I felt Chelsea limited the opportunities a bit more than last season, for instance. I felt in that particular game last season, I felt Chelsea actually would have conceded more and the game would have been out of sight. But that's the moment that decides the game, gives Everton the 1-0. And as we know, obvious cliche, goals change games. It gives Everton that incentive, something to cling on to. They feel vindicated and they can sit deeper. And unfortunately, Chelsea just never really got going. I was really disappointed with Mason Mount tonight. Mostly, I know he got very close with a free kick late on, which is unlucky. And Chelsea were unlucky as well. Reece James hitting in the post in the first half. And those are moments you can look at and you can go, on another day, those two go in. They hit the post and go in. But from corners, I felt tonight Mason was really poor. His delivery has been exceptional, and I don't want to go too harsh on him because he has been one of Chelsea's best players so far this season. But in a game like tonight where it just isn't clicking in open play, you look towards set pieces, which we've been really strong at this season, to get us out of jail. And unfortunately, I felt Mason pretty much from the first corner was really poor tonight, overhitting them, underhitting them, hitting the first man, trying to go short and it not working out, us losing the ball. That was a disappointing thing. I felt Kai Havertz, absolutely I'm going to give him patience in terms of getting back to full fitness. Something just doesn't seem to be clicking, especially more in the sense of him playing on the right. in terms of maybe the natural flow and chemistry and link that Ziyech and James have very quickly got between each other. It doesn't seem to be the same with Kai and Reece. You saw a couple of moments there where maybe it was an underhit ball from Kai to Reece James, or him not knowing where he is at the same time. There seems to be a lack of connection. And of course, I think this is one of the first time those two have played together, at least in a while. Kai being shifted onto the right. He did it in midweek, but of course didn't have Reece James behind him. And unfortunately, it just didn't click tonight for Kai Havertz. And I'm sure there'll be debates about what is his best position. As I've stressed on the channel this week going up to this game, and you can go and watch those videos, I think we have to be patient with Kai Havertz. But tonight, it was just unfortunately not a game for him. It didn't click. As I've already said, Timo, Giroud, we just didn't get him into the game at all. As I say, not getting the supply line to him. I felt in terms of that 4-3-3, I thought Cover started the game horrendously. I felt I was really concerned about his performance in the early stages, giving the ball away. I mean, it seemed everything Cover touched in those opening sort of 25 minutes, he gave the ball away instantly. I think his performance improved. But the big thing about Chelsea this season is being such a threatening team. We saw the XG last week against Leeds. This is a team that creates opportunities. That wasn't the case tonight. Jordan Pickford was not having to make world-class saves, and I think you've got to give credit to the fact that both of their centre-backs, Keane and Yerry Mina and Holgate and all the defenders back there were performing really well tonight for Everton, basically heading every ball away. But also I was a little bit disappointed when we got the chance to cross the ball into the box, variation in terms of crosses. I think it became a little bit too sort of predictable, whether it was from James, sometimes even the likes of Timo Werner going out there. Drew gets that one chance late on, but I think it says a lot that 83 minutes into the game, that's our first chance. It's a real shame it is, and it's going to dent sort of the confidence. I guess, luckily, the Tuesday game against Wolves comes around pretty quickly. In some sense, at this time of the season, you're a little bit concerned about sort of fatigue and sort of the squad and dealing with that game, another trip away from home for a difficult and tricky tie for Chelsea. But at the same time, I think it's a positive that we can get back on the pitch pretty quickly and hopefully rectify that, because we want to get back on track, basically. You want to just see this as a bump in the road, and that's what it should be for Chelsea tonight. I just felt something wasn't there, and I think there needs to be a sense of realism, from Chelsea fans tonight in terms of how well it's been over recent weeks and months, how much improvement there has been. You don't want to lose sight of that. But tonight it was pretty awful, in terms of watching it. It was quite a dispiriting game. I felt that both Thiago Silva and Kurt Zouma, despite Calvert-Lewin not scoring in the game, he has a key involvement in the penalty, could have had a second penalty as well in the game. I felt he almost ran Thiago Silva and Kurt Zouma ragged, which I think is credit to Dominic Calvert-Lewin, his hold-up play, very impressive forward and showing more to his game than just scoring goals. Chelsea nullified him in terms of getting in front of goal tonight, but he still had an impact. I think that's a sign of a very good striker. So Carlo gets the better of Frank tonight. We've got to pick ourselves up. It's a quick turnaround to Wolves, and that's the way it's going to be now as we go into the end of the year. I hope that, Chelsea can recover form, can get back to where we were. It's once again a shame that, we don't have Hakim Ziyech, we don't have Callum Hudson-Odoi. Hopefully we'll have Christian Pulisic back, which I think is a key option to have, as, just to add a little bit more pace, energy and width, and especially against even low blocks. I felt that, Christian Pulisic is a very good player in those situations. Even if he doesn't have the clear space in front of him, I think one-on-ones he can drag defenders out of space. He can take players on one-on-one, and I think we need him back in the team. So hopefully he'll be available on Tuesday. Let me know your opinions on tonight's game. In terms of the best player, I felt Reece James quite impressed me tonight in terms of trying to make something happen, almost a one-man wrecking ball at times. Trying to win free kicks, hitting the post. But there weren't many great Chelsea performers tonight, which unfortunately, we luckily we haven't been able to say that so far this season. There usually been 2 or 3 players, or even more than that you can say have had really good performances. Unfortunately tonight, Mendy makes a key mistake. All round creatively we're quite poor, and we don't get the win, and we get our first defeat in 16-17 games. So those are my thoughts on the game tonight. Let me know yours in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this video. If you did enjoy it, hit that subscribe button and a notification bell so you never miss an upload. Follow me on Twitter @SonOfChelsea, and I'll see you again.